Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a new day dawning for the Stuff and Things channel and for Stuff and Things Plays as well, because you are watching me now through the very large lens as I look into it of my brand new Canon EOS R6 camera, a mirrorless digital camera using a 24 to 105 millimeter f4 image stabilized L lens UMC. I can't remember all the different technical terms for this lens, but it's fancy. The camera's fancy, and this has been something I have been building towards for a very long time. It is something that is made possible by you, the viewers, the Patreon supporters, the people who buy the merch. I will be paying for this camera for a very long time. I understand that some people are very, very opposed to anyone purchasing anything with credit, but I thought that with the interest rate that I was able to get and the fact that this is an investment in the future of the channel, it was worth purchasing this camera on a very good deal with a very good interest rate. But yes, I will be paying for it for a long time, but you guys help with that, with all the generosity that you provide through Patreon and through purchasing the merch and some of the super chats we did on the last live chat or a live stream we did. All of that will be going towards this camera, and I am super excited. You may have seen the unboxing video that I posted this last Wednesday. If not, you should, because I can't really show you the camera right now because we are using it to record. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for making this possible. This is what your support goes to. It's buying equipment for the channel to make this channel better, to make the videos more professional. I just always want to be upping my game and upping the production quality of these videos to make it even more exciting, more palatable, more attractive for you guys out there when you're watching. I know many of you said, your camera quality is fine, you don't need a new camera. And in some ways I agree with that. You could get almost anything, and as long as your content is interesting, it doesn't really matter what you're using to record it. But I have thoughts, I have dreams, I have ideas, and I wanted to up the quality of the equipment that I had to record those things and just bring a little bit more to you. So there you go. This is the Canon R6. Right now I can see on its little screen that there's a little box around my eye. It is tracking my eye at the moment, I think, as far as I can tell. I'm also using a little app right now where I'm recording. I can actually record, or I can see a live view of my camera screen, and I can control everything, the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, all that stuff through this app. I can turn the recording off and on. That's kind of cool. It's using Bluetooth and Wi-Fi through the camera. So it's a huge deal that we have this camera now for the channel. I'm going to be doing all sorts of vlogs, all sorts of things using this camera. Pretty much every bit of video content you see from now on this channel will be produced with that camera. Probably every thumbnail will be either a still from a video or taken with that camera. There may be some B-roll stuff with my old trusty iPhone. The original camera, or not the original camera, but the last camera that we were using on Stuff and Things was the Panasonic HC blah, 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 blah. It was like a little camcorder. I sold that already. I sold it on eBay for a lot more than I thought I would. So I've already shipped that away. So I can't do a cool, like, here's what it used to look like and here's what it looks like now comparison, at least not live, but I think maybe I'll insert a little clip. I mean, you guys have been watching my videos for a long time, but let's just do a, not necessarily side by side, but one right after another, clip of the old Panasonic that we were using and then this new Canon R6, just briefly, and we're gonna get into all the rigmarole from the normal episode, but briefly right now I'm recording this at 1080p. I'm not doing 4K at the moment. We may delve into that, and this camera gives us the option to do some really, really nice high quality 4K recording. For now, I'm going to keep it at 1080. I want to see what the whole workflow is like with editing on Premiere Pro and all that stuff. So we're going to do 1080 for now. I'm shooting it at, I think, 35 millimeters on an aperture of f4 with the shutter speed of 1/50 at 24 frames a second because I want it to look kind of more cinematic. I'm using a little bit of a new lighting situation that is still in flux, and I'm going to be really working with that because I want the lighting to be better, I want the image to be better, I want everything to be better. So expect this lighting situation to change a little bit. And again, I just got this camera too, so I don't know all the in and outs. I've definitely been just head first diving into all this stuff, watching so many tutorials, reading all these things. There's an 800-page manual for this camera online that Canon has put out, and I think I'm at page 300 or so right now. So I'm going through all that. But as far as white balance and the exposure, I think it's all exposed correctly right now as far as I can tell. The white balance I think is okay. We'll figure all that out. But let's do a quick side-by-side. I will show you the old camera that we were using right now. About stuffs and occasionally even things, I'm your good friend Bradley, and today it is time for a first impressions video on a brand new pipe tobacco blend. And now you can see it next to this camera, the Canon EOS R6 or EOS R6. They're both in 1080p. I think I usually would record in 60 frames with the old camera because it didn't have an option to do 24 frames. But here we are. This is the new camera. This is what you'll be seeing from now on. And thank you all so much for your support on Patreon and all other avenues for which you can support me or through which you can support me. And believe me, your support will continue going towards paying this camera off and getting even more equipment. We'd like to get some new lenses and stuff like that at some point, so it's all going towards the channel, and it's much, much appreciated. But now, let's get into things. I've written some things down, things that we will talk about. New camera, we mentioned that. We're also going to be talking about changes to video quality maybe, like things we may be doing with this camera, things that we could, well, I guess I've touched on a lot of that, some of the lighting stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more, kind of an update on the weird tin of Elizabethan mixture that I talked about last week. We will talk about some upcoming videos that I'm working on. I'm kind of excited right now. We have to mention the Seahawks. Sorry, even though maybe that's a bad idea because I think I may jinx them whenever I talk about them. And then, of course, we will have your questions in hashtag askstuffandthings. We have only a few. Three this week, so we'd appreciate it if you send in more. I always love that. But now let's get into things. I mentioned, we may be doing some things with video quality. I just want to kind of do a quick survey. A lot of people are posting content in 4K now, and I don't know still how many people actually have access to 4K screens. So would it even be worth it yet to be doing things in 4K? I think stuff like this talking head stuff, maybe it's not really that big of a deal. 1080p is probably just fine. If I wanted to, I could probably record in 1080 and then maybe export in 4K, so you get a little bit of a quality boost there. But if I'm doing maybe, I don't know, more cinematic things, more kind of shorts, or maybe things showing interesting landscapes or locations, maybe it would be worth it doing those things in 4K. So I'm just kind of curious to know how many of you actually have access to a 4K screen. I have a 4K television, and I guess I watch some YouTube content on that television. Actually, now that I think about it, I do watch quite a bit, but I think most of my YouTube viewing is on my phone or on my computer screen, and neither of those are 4K, even though I guess my iPhone 11, isn't that ultra high def? I don't know. I don't know how all this works, but just let me know. How many of you would actually appreciate seeing some content in 4K? And then, like I mentioned, we're going to be working on lighting. And I've got some stuff coming, and I want to be working on getting a really good lighting system going because I'm not totally happy with things. This is a little bit of a different setup than I typically have, or that I used to have in the past. And so I want to really work with exposure and color temperature and white balance and all that good stuff and really get things dialed in and looking great. So expect some changes coming in the future there. And then maybe the backdrop. I'm still not totally sold on this. I can't do too much because this isn't my home where I'm doing this, so I can't be like knocking out walls, or maybe I could install a shelf. I don't know, I'll have to see. So maybe some things will be changing with the backdrop as well, but we'll see. I know we're talking a lot about technical stuff and kind of inside baseball things going on right now, but I'm excited obviously, about the new camera, and I'm excited about the possibilities. So my mind is really racing about all these things right now. But more on that later. Next, I mentioned I had a brief update about these tins of Elizabethan. I had a tin that tasted normal, and I had a tin that tasted horrible. And I put a little Mr. Yuck, there we go, there we go, a Mr. Yuck face on the back so I wouldn't keep smoking it. And I had a lot of questions in the comments as to what the dates were, the dates of manufacture for these two tins. And I answered those in the comments, but I thought it would be worth it to do an update here if you guys haven't actually read those comments. And so both of these, if you don't know the date code on the STG tins, it's easy to find online. But basically you've got the year, you've got the month, or no, you've got the date, and then you've got the month. So if you look here, is there going to be anything horrible that YouTube will hate if I show this? And how closely can this camera, I don't know if this camera can focus that quick or that close, and I think I can use this to show, I want it to focus on that. You can't see that. Now I'm back. It's back to my face, back to my eye, that's good. Anyway, it is the year 2020, and it is May 7th. And this has the exact same date. So this was the good tasting tin or the normal tasting tin, and this was the weird tasting tin. And when we look in here, some people were wondering, oh, was it just an entirely different blend altogether that got packaged in the wrong tin? I don't think so, because, oh man, I can smell it again. The blend looks exactly as Elizabethan should look. Once again, let me see if I can pick. I have it on human eye focus right now, so I don't know if it's going to focus on other things other than my frickin' face. But there you go. It looks exactly like Elizabethan should look. So I just feel like it's from a batch that somehow got topped. It got a weird flavored topping slathered on it. It's gross. And it's interesting, though, if these were made on the same day, how many tins of Elizabethan do you think STG produces in one day at one assembly line? Like, I don't know. I'm quite curious. I wish I could speak to people from these companies. I know that most of them are not going to do that kind of PR because it's sort of a no-no, I guess. I don't know. But I'd really be curious to learn about the production of these blends from someone from STG. So that's something I would love to do in the future. Maybe go to Denmark. I don't know. Anyway, just a little update on that. Just wanted to let you know that they were produced on the same day, and I'm fairly certain that this was supposed to be Elizabethan, but it somehow just had a topping or a flavor added to it. A nasty vanilla flavor. Next, I mentioned some upcoming videos. We have a new Revisited episode, and it's one I'm very excited about, and it is also one that was made possible by a Patreon supporter, our good friend Jason Buckner. He sent me a tin, let's cover that, of this. Squadron Liter, focus on that, please. Let's try this. Focus, there we go. A tin of Squadron Leader, something I haven't been able to get my hands on in quite some time. And he was nice enough to send this along with a couple other things, or one other thing. And I won't mention that yet because it'll be a fun surprise later. Well, it's not that exciting, but it's another Gawith blend that we can do a Revisited episode on. Or no, was it two more? I can't even remember. One or two. Anyway, you look forward to those. They'll be good. But this one I've been wanting for so long. I enjoyed it when I first reviewed it. And again, that was like 4 or 5 years ago. But I haven't been able to get my hands on it since. And at the time, it was weird going back and looking at that review because in my mind, I thought of Squadron Leader, which I have in my pipe right now, by the way. I might as well light that up. In my mind, I thought of Squadron Leader as this really great English blend that I really enjoyed. But when I watched the review, I was really positive about it, but I was also a little bit lukewarm. I was just like, nah, it's good, not my favorite. It's a very good, like, basic English. But having it now and also just coupled with my memory of it, it's a lot better than I remembered. Or it's not a lot better than I remembered. It's a lot better than I reviewed it initially. And I think you will find the Revisited episode very interesting because it deals a lot with how our palates change and how our expectations change. And even, I guess, our memories can change about a blend. And after 5 years, this tastes quite a bit differently to me than it did when I originally reviewed it. Or maybe, I think more appropriately, it tastes about the same as I remember it, but my appreciation of that taste has changed quite a bit. So check out this revisited episode. This will be on Wednesday of this week. And then this week we have our, I guess, finale for the Bloodborne series. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have Bloodborne videos, Kevin Lesek in his adventures in Bloodborne, but Friday will be the last episode. The game is over, gang. I recorded that a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty cool, pretty exciting. The game is amazing. You should definitely check that out. And then after that, I have an episode of a new game, and it will be premiering not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. And I think it's going to be quite interesting for you guys. I've only recorded a few episodes so far, but it is a game that is more story-based. It has kind of a horror bent to it, and it seems really, really intriguing as far as the plot and the pacing and the way they're telling the story. So that will be a game called Soma, and that will be premiering not this Monday, but the Monday after. And it should be kind of a shorter series, a little bit of a palate cleanser. We've been doing a lot of kind of hard action games, and this is more of a story-driven horror game. But I don't know how scary it actually is. We'll see. But check that out, not this Monday, but the Monday after on Stuff and Things Plays. But for sure, check out the ending of the Bloodborne series. We have Monday and Wednesday, I think the hardest boss in all of Bloodborne I'm trying to take on, the Orphan of Kos, and then the very last episode will be this Friday. Check it out. We will get to our next topic here in a second, but some of you briefly, I just remembered to mention this. Some of you in the comments for the unboxing video for the Canon EOS R6 had asked me to do a video where I gave you my thoughts on the camera thus far. I've only had it for about a week so far, so I'm not going to do that now, but you can expect that at some point in the future. Suffice to say that for now, I'm really enjoying using it. I haven't had a camera anywhere near this quality ever in my life, and I haven't had this kind of form factor in a camera, like an SLR, a DSLR, or in this case a mirrorless camera, since I was like in college. I had an old film camera, so it's been really fun to use. It's been really fun to get into photography again as kind of in art, as opposed to just taking snapshots of things with my phone. So we'll be getting into that later, don't worry. Down the road, maybe a couple weeks down the road. All right, now we've got to do it. It'll be brief, but the Seahawks played on Thursday Night Football. They played the Cardinals, and they won. And the defense was okay. In fact, the defense was pretty good. They were flying to the ball. They were energetic. They had some sense of urgency to their play that I enjoyed. Russell Wilson was not godlike, but he was really efficient. He didn't turn the ball over. He had a great game. Not a ton of yardage, 2 touchdowns, but it was great. It was a nice balanced attack. They had a running game. I don't even want to say it. I'm not even going to say it. So now that means I can't really say anything, but I was pleased by that performance. And now the Seahawks have a relatively easy schedule going forward. They haven't played the NFC East yet. The other teams in the NFC West have played the NFC East, but the Seahawks haven't. And I don't want to say it again, but it seems almost like that's 4 guaranteed wins. We'll see. But things could be okay. No, I won't even say that. Let's just say that I enjoyed the performance on Thursday, and we'll leave it at that. And we'll come back in a week and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it. But for now, I think the only things that I'm not a superstitious person, but we're just not going to tempt fate. We'll leave it right there. Good job, Seahawks, on beating the Cardinals. You split with them again, as you seem to do every single year. That's it. We're going to leave it right there. And now, gang, it is time for hashtag askstuffandthings. Remember, if you have a question and you would like me to answer it on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings. And I will do my best to answer your question on the next Sunday Stuff and Things. Also, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can contact me there. And I try to grab some YouTube comments on occasion as well. So the first question we have is from Turf Smurf at BS Smurf 1974. Hi, Bradley. Did you get a hold of the Age of Calamity game? If not, I can definitely recommend it. Being able to play as Zelda, the champions, and even Hestu and his Korok pals is a whole lot of fun. There is actually a decent story here too. Hashtag askstuffandthings. So for those of you who know nothing about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, none of that will mean anything to you, but that was a series we did quite a while ago on Stuff and Things Plays channel, and now there is a new game starring many of those characters, but a very different kind of game on the Nintendo Switch. Turf Smurf, thank you for the question. I downloaded the demo of The Age of Calamity, and I don't think I like that kind of game. It is a action game, something, what would they call, a Muso game in Japan, where it is a character flailing about and taking on hundreds of enemies on screen at once. I can understand the appeal for some people, but I don't know. I couldn't really get into it. I may try to give the demo another chance. We shall see, and I'll keep you posted on that. As for just video games in general, I've been watching some, now don't worry, I'm not ruining anything, but I was watching some reviews of Demon's Souls for the PS5. Yes, I would like to get a PS5 eventually, and I would like to play Demon's Souls on the channel. We've done many other From Software games, and obviously this is Blue Point Games that remade a From Software game, but it looks like a Souls game. It looks amazing. I won't be able to afford a PS5 for a long time. Reason number one, you're not looking at, but I'm looking at right now, and it is recording me speaking to you right now. It's going to take me a while to pay that off. Next, from Les Brady at LesBrady4. Hi, Bradley. I thought of giving my dad a nice fountain pen for Christmas. He is an older gent, a prolific poet and writer of history and many letters, and prides himself on his penmanship. I wanted to ask what you'd recommend as an easy-to-use, maintain option for him. Les, I'm using right now, I was just taking my notes with my Lamy 2000. I don't know how much you want to spend, and I don't know what you would consider easy to use, easy to maintain, but this as a fountain pen is so simple and so, I guess graceful is the word I'm looking for. It's not massive, it's not super ornate, it doesn't have a giant nib, it has a hooded nib actually, but I love this pen. And I think it is a triumph of industrial design. I love it so much. I love using it. I love everything about it. And I think it's relatively easy to maintain. You don't have to worry about cartridges or anything like that. You just throw it in there, shove it in a bottle of ink, twist this thing, ink goes up. You have to clean it every once in a while, but if he owns any fountain pens, I don't know if he does or not, he should know how to clean a fountain pen, but there are plenty of videos online about cleaning fountain pens, and this pen in particular. I love the Lamy 2000. It's maybe over $100 now. I'm not sure where you could maybe find it on Amazon for around $100, but I would recommend the Lamy 2000. I think it's kind of my favorite fountain pen of all time. I've got a little mark on here. It's better now. Next, from YouTube, we have a question from Your Knees. What advice do you give for a pipe smoker who doesn't like aromatics but can no longer find non-aromatic blends in his area? What would you do if you encountered the same situation? Does pressing whole leaf tea really give good pipe tea? I'm not sure what you mean about what you're talking about in the last question. If you mean like if you're making a blend where you're just taking whole leaves and shoving them together. There are some blends. I've never had a blend that is like literally whole leaf, but I have had blends with very large pieces of leaf. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. The first question, I don't have a single brick and mortar store left in my area. It has become very difficult for me to get any blends, especially because you can't really have them shipped to you in Washington, so you have to go through a lot of rigmarole of friends or relatives or other people to give you blends or to send you blends. So if I can do it, you can do it. There is an online ecosystem that you can take advantage of. I'm sure if you don't live in Washington State, if you live somewhere else in the country, you can get things shipped to you. If you live elsewhere in the world, there are places that will ship even internationally, and you may have online retailers in your country. So go online. Go online, my friend. Brick and mortar, unfortunately, is just kind of a dying breed. You don't find them very often, and often the prices are insanely high. When there were brick and mortars in Washington, a tin of Elizabethan, or in my city in Washington, a tin of Elizabethan was $25 to $28. That's not sustainable. You can't have a pipe hobby in which you're spending almost $30 for a tin. It just doesn't work. Either that, or you would you'd smoke maybe once a month at that price. So you got to go online. But I think that's it. I think that's it for our Patreon questions, our YouTube questions, our Twitter questions. And now, gang, it's time for the best part of the show. And that is where I thank you, the Patreon supporters who support the channel at $25 or more a month. You get a special shout out on the Sunday Stuff and Things every week. You're all amazing. I love you. And I would like to thank people like Ryan McFadin, MDoftheNorth, Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Cody Striegler, Glenn, David Gaudreau, Gus, Jason Buckner. Thank you, Jason. Also, thank you for this squadron leader right here. Jen O'Side and John Leone. I would also like to thank the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channel at $100 a month. People like Peter Straub, whom I am greatly looking forward to speaking to soon, and Bob Magee. Thank you all so much for your support on Patreon. If you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below. Like I mentioned, everything's going to be going towards paying off this fancy camera and getting other equipment for the channel. We also have t-shirts available. There should be another link below. The I Like Stuff and Things t-shirt is available on Teespring, so check that out. Also, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Be sure to check out the the revisited episode of, let's try that again. Be sure to check out the revisited episode of Squadron Leader coming up this Wednesday. Also, the final Bloodborne episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays. Just more of everything coming up. But thank you so much for watching this week. I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Does this look good? I think it looks good. We'll see if it looks good in the editing room.